Well, thank you very much, Matthew. It's very hard to follow those very kind words, but I'm really glad to be here today. And funnily enough, when I was last here, bizarrely, I walked past someone who was begging, and it reminded me of a lovely story about the beggar who asked for money. And this fellow looked at this beggar and he said, I'm not going to give you money, he said, because I know what you're going to do. You're just going to drink it away. You're just going to spend any money I give you on boozing. And the beggar said, no, I'm not going to do that. I promise you, I've never touched a drop of alcohol in my whole life. So the fellow looked at him and he says, I know, if you're not going to drink it, you're going to smoke it away. And he said, no, I've never even smoked any time in my life. And he said, so you're not going to drink it and you're not going to smoke it. I know what you're going to do. You're going to gamble it, he said. You're going to gamble it all the way on the horses or something like that. He said, I've never even done the lottery, so I'm not going to do that. So this chap looks at the beggar and the beggar looks at him. And eventually the beggar says, so are you going to give me some money? And the chap says, yeah, I will, but on one condition. And the beggar says, what's that? He says, I want to introduce you to my wife. He said, why do you want to introduce me to my wife, to your wife? He said, because I want to show what happens to a man who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and doesn't gamble. And I'm kind of here in a funny way to kind of say, I'm here to recognize, first of all, the prestige of this organization, also the prestige of the wards, and to recognize the wonderful work that you have done, and to acknowledge that by my presence, but also to actually see you and hear a bit about you, because actually giving awards is always very interesting because you get to hear and meet some pretty amazing people who've done amazing things, particularly in relation to this set of awards. So anyway, it's fantastic to be with you today, of course, and particularly to announce the 11 UK finalists in the European Business Awards for the Environment, and to showcase that important work. Now, the EU Awards, to be held in Brussels this June, will recognise today's pioneers in green innovation, of course, and also to encourage EU businesses of all sizes to integrate sustainable development into their activities. And I understand that 4 of our finalists are competing in the management category. Is that right, Matthew? I think that's right. 4 in process and 3 in the product category. And that all our entries are extremely strong. That's one of the interesting things as I look at the various awards that I have responsibility of working with, is to see the actually very high standard that you have in relation to this award, and it's incredibly impressive. Indeed, you've only got to look at the past 10 years to see that the UK has had at least one winner in every round of the EU awards, and that's no mean achievement. And I'm immensely proud of that fact. That is a really significant thing. And I very much hope that our finalists can maintain this winning tradition. In fact, I've got some money on it, so I hope you don't let me down. And I wish you every success in Europe, of course. Now, let me thank the RSA Forum for Environment and Sustainable Development for managing the entry process on DEFRA's behalf. And that's, of course, against a challenging deadline, which they worked in partnership with accredited feeder schemes, panel judges and businesses, to come forward with the winners we are celebrating today. And I think it would be wrong of me not to acknowledge all those companies who applied to the accredited award scheme, who were shortlisted but didn't quite reach the finals. And I know from talking to some of the panel members that the competition was very strong and the quality of entrants was, as always, very, very high indeed. So well done to all of you for your valuable input. It really is impressive. And it just goes to show that people recognise how important awards are for encouraging business and our wider society to move in a sustainable direction through collaboration, which I'm always very keen to encourage. And I believe awards, as Matthew was saying in his opening remarks, are a very useful way of stimulating improved environmental performance by organisations and provide important examples of innovation and best practice, innovation being obviously a very keen thing. And when I talk about innovation, I mean innovation that delivers reduced environmental impact specifically, so helping to deliver the low carbon and resource efficient economy of the future, something that I see as key to the UK's business and future and prosperity in the future. And the opportunity is frankly very, very clear. The UK low carbon and environmental goods and services sector is predicted to grow despite the current economic downturn, and that's obviously important for our nation. Forecasts estimate a growth of 4.7% in the year 2009-2010, increasing up to 6.1% by 2014. And opportunities in low carbon environment could increase by 45%. That's a huge figure, really. 45% over the next 8 years to create over 400,000 jobs. That's an amazingly important thing to achieve. And awards will help to deliver the innovations essential for UK success in capturing these opportunities. And that's why I'm so keen on these particular awards. Because awards, of course, incentivize business to change behavior by raising the profile of the product, the process, or management system right across Europe. And you've only got to look at the particular example of Neufeld. And I hope I've said that name. Is anybody here from that organization? How do you say your name? Is that right, Neufeld? OK, Limited. This small, medium enterprise company has developed an infrared system for repairing roads at lower costs, shorter times, and reduced carbon footprint in situ. And I have to say, with a constituency that has more potholes than I ever would believe is possible, you must have a very bright future, certainly in my area, in North East Somerset. And unlike traditional processes, Neufeld's system enables road surfaces to completely recover without needing to cut existing surfaces. So I'd actually like to know a lot more about that. It sounds amazing to me. To use multiple repair vehicles or to use noisy jackhammers or produce landfill waste. So well done to you. And I'm serious. Please send me some of your stuff so I can learn about that. I understand that less than 1/7 of the CO2 is generated per pothole repair compared to the traditional processes. The energy saved is roughly equal to running a 100-watt traditional light bulb for a period of 6 months. So, significant energy savings when you add it all up. That's great. Residents and road users also, of course, benefit from the quick repairs to roads, car parks and pathways, which are shut for less time, and noise pollution is reduced, something that actually is a very real problem in many everyday people's lives when roadworks occur. By definition, though, innovation, of course, isn't static. Businesses must continually respond to changes as knowledge and technologies improve. Therein lies the challenge. And embedding resource efficiency across business operations brings benefits to the whole organization. Similarly, finding new, more sustainable ways to deliver products and services to the consumer is a growing area of business opportunity. Now, 10 years ago, the RSA Forum launched its accreditation scheme and with DEFRA funding, established a database of award schemes in the UK. And this is now in excess of a very significant figure, 400 schemes. And I'm pleased that since the relaunch, or rather the relaunch I attended last September, steps have been taken to update the database, including promotional plans to increase the number of accredited award schemes and the number of companies applying to enter UK and overseas awards. So it's having a knock-on effect in terms of motivating people and getting people to improve and better themselves. DEFRA will continue supporting the RSA Forum to accredit these awards to clear and objective standards. I look forward to many more schemes in the future and businesses collaborating with the RSA Forum and DEFRA to achieve our common aims. And to our 11 finalists, returning as winners in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. And if I could just add one comment myself before explaining to you the next part of the event. Of course, there's been lots of controversy around climate change issues in the last few weeks and months, and that has tended to kind of cast a cloud over this debate. But I think one of the important things about today is it demonstrates vividly and concretely how whatever the precise science of climate change and whatever the precise limitations of natural resources available to us, it demonstrates that it's possible to manage those risks, reduce those risks, and to live within our natural resource means in a way which is good for the economy and, as the pothole example you've given, Dan, leads to better outcomes all round. And that is a message which I think we need now more than ever before. So, we move on now to the main part of the event. The final judging panel have lent themselves to this part of the day, and they have recorded a short clip introducing each entry. What will happen is that once the clip has played, we'll ask the entrant who starred in the clip to come up, whose innovation has starred in the clip, to come up on stage to accept their certificate from the Minister and to say a few words. So now I'm handing over to the hostess or the mostest, Rebecca.
What's interesting is that the Fish for Life initiative is based on 10 principles for responsible fish procurement, which guide responsible sourcing, industry dialogue, product development, and marketing and campaigning activity. For the panel, there are quite a number of things that were quite outstanding from our viewpoint. the most important being the company's policies on fish sustainability clearly form part of a wider corporate social responsibility program. And we were impressed in particular by the Fish for Life's health check mechanism, which is a bespoke tool which systematically assesses the risk factors of each fishery to produce either a low, medium, or a high risk assessment. The health check tool measures 4 criteria. For instance, certification status. Is this certified by the MSC, which is the Marine Stewardship Council? And what's the stock status? And is that based on a reputable scientific advice and informed, for instance, by fish source? What's the legality of it? And also any bycatch and environmental issues. And the impact of this has been, I think, quite significant. For instance, the company has created a very robust, verified methodology for assessing the sustainability of fisheries. And they have offered consumers ready access to the responsibly sourced seafood in the British market. The company has invested over £1 million in the Stornoway langoustine fishery, including research with Glasgow University on a new traceability system. This has contributed significantly to achieving the MSC status for that fishery in April 2009. And significantly, the Finders Group decided to highlight the issues around the North Sea cod stocks by publicly withdrawing entirely from that fishery in 2006. So we're quite impressed by that. The judging panel was quite impressed by the Finders Group's engagement and continuous engagement with stakeholders, and which gives the company leadership and development opportunities and enables them to exercise their influence over current and future issues in the UK, in Europe and worldwide. To wrap up, I think that what stood out for this company was the effective management systems that are in place to enable them to achieve their sustainability goals, and the fact that they engage continually with the industry at all levels, both the industry itself, with government, with European and international organizations, including the third sector, to ensure that they drive forward the sustainability agenda.
Well, I was told today I had 2 minutes, which for a marketeer is an impossible task, as you can imagine, but we're very proud to be finalists for these awards. Sustainability, hopefully you can see from that short clip, is at the heart of our business model. We've been pursuing now Fish for Life for 7 years because we believe, firstly, it's the right thing to do, but actually it makes good business sense as well. Our customers demand it, increasingly our consumers demand it, and actually we view our brand and the reputation of our brand as the most important asset we have. So sustainability drives to the heart of what we do. Seafood is actually 70% of our total business, so it's impossible not to have a strong sustainability agenda in seafood when it's such an important part of our business. We accept the industry has its challenges, but we believe we have a scale and breadth. As an organisation, with sales of over £1 billion across Europe, we believe we have a scale and breadth to genuinely influence what's going on out there. And really our approach to this is simple, and I'm very glad that the clip picked up on this thing about engagement, because actually our philosophy is about engaging with the industry. It's about promoting the good, because actually whilst we accept there's problems, there's actually lots of good practice out there and lots of people who are actually trying their best to promote sustainable seafood. And it's about changing the bad, trying to change the bad, or where we can't change the bad, it's about actually walking away from those issues and actually putting pressure on that way. Fish for Life then neatly captures this philosophy, and as I say, I'm very proud to be here today, and it's a chance really to thank the thousands of people in the industry that are actually trying to do the right thing and actually trying to put sustainability at the heart of not only our business but at the heart of the industry going forward. So thank you very much indeed.
Fergus Fergus Terminal is a mature plant. Environmental monitoring was first carried out when the site was commissioned in 1977. Since then, social, ethical and environmental considerations have continued to grow to form a core part of the ongoing success and sustainability of the terminal's operations. St Fergus has witnessed a step change in how it operates since the terminal first achieved ISO 14001 accreditation in 1999, followed by EMAS accreditation in 2000. The past decade has been a journey of discovery at St Fergus and a lesson in continual improvement, as sustainable business practices have embedded themselves in the minds of every individual employee. Close your eyes and soak in the sound of constant bird song. Now open them, taking in tranquil freshwater loch, adorned by its pair of resident mute swans as they glide by with this year's clutch of cygnets. You know you're in Scotland with its vibrant autumnal colours. But as you turn around, you're surprised to see that you're standing immediately beside Total St Fergus gas terminal. The birds you hear are flittering between towering steel structures. It's a scene with the power to challenge and redefine misconceptions about the oil and gas industry. In selecting this entry, we were particularly impressed by the achievements in biodiversity this quote illustrates, in the notoriously difficult surroundings of a gas terminal.
Hi, I'm Jenny Wink from the Total E&P UK Limited St Fergus Gas Terminal. And we are delighted to be shortlisted as one of the 11 UK finalists. Back in 1999, our then operations manager gave us a challenge to be best in class for the environment within Total E&P UK Limited. And so started our journey, a very challenging journey that will not end. It started with the creation of a strong, robust and sustainable environmental culture. We recognised that to achieve best in class, we needed complete workforce buy-in, along with unfailing management support. Strong management support was already in place, so we had to get the workforce buy-in. Our day-to-day personnel at the terminal averages around 150, and we adopted an approach that involved our core employees on a personal level. How does the environment affect you, your children, and your grandchildren? We did this by providing waste awareness training for all employees, and we continue this practice today. We also provided waste recycling facilities for home use in our car park, and therefore a culture was born. St Fergus has no general waste. Landfill is landfill and is identified as such, and it's a psychology that works. 2009 landfill for St Fergus was 5.3%. Challenge all norms. Chances are there are alternatives that benefit the environment and your community. And it was embarking on the environmental route that we saw a huge opportunity to benefit our local community with innovative environmental practices. Our culture evolved into an approach that consistently took a holistic view. Initially, it started at the end. Now it starts at the concept. Perhaps the best example of our approach is the fact that we give our waste wood to a local company called Woods Recyclability that employs special needs trainees. We then buy back their finished product to furnish the eco-gardens of our local schools. This is our culture. It's robust, it's sustainable, and it works. As a result of our practices, we submitted an application for Vibes 2007. We were shortlisted and subsequently won. This was not the end of the journey. It was recognition of what St Fergus had achieved, but most importantly, it was an inspiration to achieve more. We then decided to submit the application for the European Awards, which, as other finalists will know, was extremely challenging. The application made us quantify our financial savings generated as a byproduct of good environmental innovations, and these savings were significant. Environmental, community and financial, sustainable and beneficial to all. At St Fergus, the culture is now inbred. We can, have and will make a difference, and the consideration to the environment, our community and sustainable development is integral to every decision we take. Thank you.
Construction of the new Barts London Hospital is a £1 billion project, and it's resulted in many sustainable innovations and best practices being implemented. The project is one of the leading sustainable projects globally, and it highlights the effects of Skanska's global environmental management approach at the local level. On starting with Skanska, every employee undertakes a 4-day environment, health and safety workshop. And this is followed by an annual 1-day update. For example, every supplier has to complete an environmental pre-assessment. Environmental management is a mandatory part of pre-start meetings with construction contractors, ensuring that they comply with Skanska's requirements. Every trade contractor attends an environmental induction before working on site, and their supervisors attend a half-day session. Every trade contractor attends at least one toolbox talk, which is a short briefing, monthly on the environment. That means that currently 1,420 people attend monthly environment training connected with the Barts London Hospital project. All of this theoretical work has had practical benefits at the site level. The Barts Consolidation Centre has reduced the number of construction vehicles delivering to the City of London by 78%, reducing CO2 emissions and pollution. Barts and the London hospitals have 760,000 patients and employs 7,400 people. Building the new hospitals in the same locations will maintain the healthcare in the City of London for future generations and secure the jobs in the same locations. By eliminating packaging, just one contractor has saved approximately 40,000 square metres or 8 tonnes of cardboard being used. During demolition, 96% of all material was recycled. This prevented 30,000 tonnes going to landfill. Currently, 67% of all construction material is recycled on site using segregated bins. The waste which goes off site is further segregated at waste transfer stations and achieves more than 90% recycling, further diverting material from landfill. This is an excellent example of a major company that has embraced sustainable development at the global level, not as a fashionable or philanthropic venture, because it sees the business and competitive advantage it provides in its local operations.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few words. Myself, Simon Cresswell, I'm the Commercial Director responsible for the Barts and the London 2 Hospitals project for Skanska. James Macmillan, my colleague that's with us today, is responsible with his team for looking after the environmental and sustainability aspects of the project. I'd like to thank him for a lot of the work that he's done putting into how we achieve a sustainable approach to construction. And I'm delighted and proud, very proud we are to be here today nominated. Personally, I joined Skanska some 18 months ago, and it was like a breath of fresh air. I've been in the construction industry for over 30 years. Joining Skanska, a breath of fresh air in terms of the code of conduct and the 5 underlying core values that we have, 2 of which relate to environmental impact and the ethics in which we do business. Just a little bit about the Barts London project. It's a project we're delivering in accordance with the management systems of Skanska. So it's one example of what we do. We've invested heavily in 3D computer modelling to drive out the waste and the rework that's required on a conventional construction project, reduces waste and increases efficiency tremendously. So the workforce and supply chain are engaged fully with what we do. Our supply chain is also incentivised towards reducing waste and the sustainability of our projects. The 3D model I mentioned, we use to calculate the volumes of anticipated materials that we use in the project, and then we target in their contracts specific maximum waste and waste reduction targets. The reusable packaging has already been mentioned. We also manage our social impact, conscious of the 750,000 patients that are treated annually and the 7,400 staff in the hospital. We brought into construction technology used in the music industry, and specialist acoustic screens put up between our works and the hospital environment. And quote from the nurses in the building adjacent, "It felt like we were wrapped in cotton wool. They didn't realise the construction work was going on less than a metre away." We also employ dedicated liaison teams to ensure that the impact of the construction works is minimised in terms of the hospital normal working practices. So my thanks today very much for the nomination, and to our informed clients, the Barts and London NHS Trust. We need many more of those informed clients so that we can work together towards a more sustainable future. In short, we care, we're green, and we're driving towards deep green as Skanska, and we look forward to working with informed clients in the future. Thank you very much.
Stratton's Hotel in Swaffham, Norfolk, is an entry for the management category of the European Business Awards for the Environment. It's a small boutique hotel that opened in 1990, and as a consequence of its size, it's in the SME category for the awards. Stratton's has put forward its own environmental management system as a contender to go alongside Europe's Best, which will be judged later on this year. This year has seen a number of entries in all categories from SMEs, which is very encouraging, and it seems to indicate that small companies are actually getting to grips with what sustainability can do within their organisation for positive benefit for everybody, including their own staff and their shareholders if necessary. One of the things about Stratton's is that they really do seem to have engaged with everybody throughout the company, including the guests, in helping to make their business more sustainable. What's really impressed the judges about Stratton's is the way that they're measuring and managing the aspects of their environmental waste, energy consumption, those sorts of things, which actually make a difference to the way that they run their business. During 2009, an impressive 1% of waste was sent to landfill. They're also taking energy consumption very seriously. They're monitoring energy consumption in the hotel, but they've also employed a professional energy consultant to have a look at places that they can actually improve on the use of electricity. The other thing that they've done, which is quite interesting, is that they've actually got the guests involved in this whole thing, and they're encouraging guests to actually monitor water usage while they're residents. Stratton's also takes its social responsibility very seriously. Wherever possible, it sources produce locally. It also engages its stakeholders, in this case the staff, the guests, and the local community in the projects that it's undertaking. One of the things which is interesting about Stratton's, which we've also seen with some of the larger entries, is the fact that some of the things that they've done have actually impacted positively on their profitability. Also, looking at the entry, the judges realised that some of the initiatives that Stratton's had undertaken were giving them a positive advantage in terms of advertising locally. As well as saving money on utilities, Stratton's is reporting an above average occupancy rate, which tends to suggest that the things that they're doing are not only good for the planet, but they're also good for their business. It's a very strong contender for an SME award in the management category for the European Business Awards for the Environment.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Scott. I'm one of the directors, and my husband here is a fellow director of Stratton's Hotel. Thank you to the RSA. It's a real privilege to be here, and it's an honour to represent the UK in the European Business Awards for the Environment. 20 years ago, we naively thought that every hotel and accommodation provider in the whole of the UK was doing exactly what we were doing. That was until 1999, when a business commitment to the environment inspector visited us and spent a number of hours with us and said, I love the lateral thinking that's gone on here, but is this normal for the accommodation and tourism industry? 2 weeks later, I discovered it wasn't, and we were quite unusual. And we did go on that year to win a Premier Award with BCE and also the Queen's Award for then Outstanding Environmental Performance. It seemed incredible, really, and when you consider in Norfolk, our home county, today tourism is worth £2.1 billion and supports 47,000 jobs, that there was no sort of comprehensive approach to the environment. Then it was the big groups like Whitbread and Marriott who were doing things, who knew it made a difference to their bottom line. 2000 definitely marked a change and a realisation that quality is not sacrificed for the environment. I'm really pleased to actually report that there is a big change in the industry. As a green hotel, we've become a destination, and our occupancy, despite the recession, has been really good, averaging in the last 4 years between 76% and 96% occupancy. And when you compare that to our particular area of Norfolk, which is Breckland, which is 38%, and the east of England as a whole, which is 51%, that's very good. These awards do incentivise other businesses, so I'm so pleased to take this forward as part of the tourism industry. And it does matter to the customer, and our occupancy figures are really a proof that we are a destination in our own right. Thank you very much.
Chimera Fabrics, based in Leeds, has submitted its Sting Plus product as a contender for the product category in the European Business Awards for the Environment. A large corporation based in Yorkshire, Chimera Fabrics makes contract upholstery for use in schools, hospitals, cinemas and offices. 4 years ago, Chimera teamed up with commercial and scientific partners, including De Montfort University in Leicester, to develop a new kind of fabric which uses stinging nettle fibres as part of the material. Stinging nettles, as any garden knows, are very easy to grow, and they're the ideal crop for farmers who want to grow something on poor quality soil. It's also useful as a crop which can be grown on contaminated land and those sorts of areas. So it's a very useful way of utilising what most people see as a pest, really. The product, not surprisingly, is called Sting, and it really does tick all of the boxes in terms of sustainability. Growing stinging nettles increases biodiversity. The product itself is completely compostable, and interestingly, and quite surprisingly to some of the judges, the incorporation of stinging nettle fibres with the wool, which is also used in Sting, actually improves the fire retardant properties of the material. In terms of energy consumption, it takes about 1/4 of the energy to make a kilogram of the Sting nettle material compared with a man-made polymer such as polyester. So from that point of view, it's an incredible material. 2 things really stood out about Chimera's entry in terms of the way that the judges saw things. The first one was pretty obvious, really, that the product it's innovative and it's exciting, and it's the sort of thing that catches people's imagination in terms of sustainability. But the second thing, which I think is very important, is that Chimera actually answered the questions that were asked on the entry form. They gave probably the best submission of all of the entries. It was concise, it was clear, and they explained exactly what it was that they were entering for. So it's a very strong contender for the awards.
Good afternoon. My name's Ian Byrne from Chimera Fabrics. I'm here with my colleague Graham Berry. You'll all be very familiar with Chimera without even realising it, because you'll have sat on our fabrics on London Underground, on buses and trains, if you've been to the Odeon in Leicester Square, and on fabrics that are used in commercial offices up and down the country, even in the auditorium here today. We're a manufacturing company. We're an independent UK textile company based in Yorkshire, and there aren't many textile companies left here in the UK anymore. But we've been successful, and we've managed to continue to thrive and be prosperous thanks to product innovation and innovation in service delivery, but more and more in developing environmental products and manufacturing processes. And we developed this product STING, which actually stands for Sustainable Technology in Nettle Growing. It was the name of the project. And we developed it really in response to the relentless growth of synthetics in our marketplace, in particular polyester. And we wanted to put the emphasis back on natural fibers and bio-based materials that could be grown easily but wouldn't impact on food production. And like it said in the clip, it's really captured the public's imagination. People can't grasp the fact that you can sit on nettle fabric without being stung. And it's really highlighted environmental innovation in the commercial interiors marketplace. Just a couple of thank yous. Thanks to DEFRA, who actually supported this project financially. It was a link project through the Sustainable Technologies Initiative, and got DEFRA funding from the outset back in 2005. And we then worked with the academic partner De Montfort University in Leicester, and they were really instrumental in looking at the science and the agronomics behind nettle cultivation on farms, and then working out how best to extract the fibre from nettle plants. So, successful collaboration between industry and academia with government funding. It's resulted in what we believe is a really beautiful textile upholstery product which has these natural fire retardant characteristics, and it's going to look good and last for years. And we're now using this same research and knowledge expertise that we've gleaned through this project to develop more contract fabrics that are made from wool and hemp fibre. So that's the next thing on the cards that we'll be launching later this year. Thank you very much, and thank you for the nomination. Thank you.
The product is a retrofit hybrid system for light commercial vehicles within the 3.5 ton segment of the market. And the product enhances performance, saves fuel, and reduces CO2 exhaust emissions. They reckon by about 25%. They do this by capturing energy through regenerative braking using the kinetic energy recovery system, KERS system. The charging panel was looking at, obviously, was the evidence of innovation here. And we were quite impressed by the innovative aspects. For instance, the product allows retrofitting to new end-use vehicles, and it works well whatever fuel you use, whether diesel, biodiesel, LPG, petrol. Unlike traditional batteries, this product has super capacitors which can be charged and discharged up to 5 million times and will last the lifetime of the vehicle and can be refurbished and even reused, unlike traditional batteries. The vehicle itself charges the supercapacitors through regenerative energy, which without needing to be plugged into any external electrical supply, which eases the burden on the national grid. So we found that very interesting. And we're quite interested by the environmental benefits that the company, examples of benefits that the company provided. For example, one of the materials in the supercapacitors is crushed coconut shells, which can be obviously recycled. And the whole process involves very little waste, and the system saves fuel by using regenerative energy normally lost as heat energy. Now, with 25% less fuel used and total exhaust emissions reduced by 25%, we think that the environmental benefits are quite significant. The company also demonstrated the economic viability of the product. 2 million new vans were sold in Europe in 2007, and it is estimated that at least 4 times this number of vans are in active service. So you can see the potential, the market potential there. And the company's business plan and forecast for the next financial year is to sell 1,200 units, which is about 0.33% of the UK market, UK-only market. The hybrid company even plans to extend and develop the system for all 3.5-ton light commercial vehicles, including a larger system to fit the heavy goods segment. Finally, the judging panel was impressed by the product's worldwide appeal and potential, as inquiries have already been received from some countries. So we think, watch this space.
Many thanks for inviting us down here as a finalist for the EBAE Awards. It's nice to have a podium that I don't need a step to stand behind. It was about 8 years ago when I formed Connaught Engineering. We started out as a car company, and the whole ethos at the time was to reduce cost of ownership for our end users. So we wanted to have desirable products that you could actually enjoy every day of the week, and it wouldn't cost you a fortune to operate. It's really quite tough to get funding in a car company in the UK. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. So we took our innovations and we started thinking about how laterally we could start applying the technology and IPR that we generated into a different marketplace. Hybrid technology is the same pretty much around the world. You take your regenerative braking energy and you reapply it to the motion of that vehicle. The unique way that we do it is that we have our own intellectual property that is globally protected and enables us to have the lightest system in the world. Vans, everybody here has a Tesco delivery van or a Sainsbury's van that comes and delivers their groceries every week. Each one of those vehicles is actually emitting somewhere in the region of 450 grams per kilometre of CO2. The headline vehicle, if you bought it, would say 260. You load that thing up and it is burning a lot of fuel, 15, 16, 17 miles per gallon. So our focus was to look at how do we make our large fleet operators both save fuel, get a good, strong corporate social responsibility mandate, approval, and at the same time help their bottom line. So we actually do a conversion on a vehicle for less than £3,000 and it saves up to 25% fuel economy. There's a challenge out there for SMEs in the country, as you're aware. Great thanks to the EST in the early days, which I think was always before the Technology Strategy Board, who've seed funded us with about £460,000 worth of public funds in the very early days for R&D support. Without that, the company would never have actually got off the decks. But now there's even bigger challenges. As we move through to commercialisation, we need to partner with large enterprise who need to pull through these technologies now from SMEs. It's a real need that we've got to get this out there into the marketplace to start making real change. But we can't do it on our own. We need the large enterprise and we need public procurement support for that. But that said, we've come a long way in the last 8 years, and here's looking forward to the next 12 months of some growth and prosperity. And as we start looking and pushing in towards Europe, we hope that this award will give us a bit more of a sales and marketing push into Germany and Benelux regions. And thanks again for being shortlisted. Thank you.
Sainsbury's is a leading UK food retailer. They were the first European retailer to pilot NCR's RealPOS two-sided thermal printer in July of 2007. The installation reduces receipt paper usage by 45% and energy use by between 35 and 50% when compared to other manufacturers' receipt printers. By minimising the use of receipt paper, CO2 emissions from the receipt roll delivery vehicles can be substantially reduced too. In 2008-9, Sainsbury's decided to roll out the new NCR printers to their 9,500 checkouts, reducing annual carbon footprint by an estimated 284 tonnes. Beyond this, the simultaneous two-sided printing has a tangible service benefit in that it enables customers to get through the checkout quicker and leave with a shorter, more manageable receipt. As a result, Sainsbury's has decided to deploy two-sided printers on all NCR self-checkouts from 2009 and introduce the technology in all its self-checkouts. Sainsbury's is also introducing more energy-efficient NCR RealPOS 80 XRT tills, which can be powered down automatically at the end of the day and serviced remotely. This will help reduce the carbon footprint associated with running the tills, as well as engineer call-outs. When rolled out across Sainsbury's' entire estate, the new printers will save a total of 502,000 till rolls each year, which equates to 90 million metres of paper.
Thank you very much. I am very proud to be here to pick this award up on behalf of Sainsbury's. I did notice that he's used all the facts and figures that I was going to pronounce to you, so I will avoid that. As you all know, Sainsbury's is a very large organisation, and as such, we take our responsibilities towards the environment very, very strongly indeed. We have now about 850 stores and about 50 depots. And as such, therefore, we touch a tremendous amount of communities. And I think that's the driving force behind our energy in trying to ensure we adopt a positive attitude towards environmental affairs. That stretches in all sorts of areas within the business, across our stores and our depots, where we are building new stores in all sorts of innovative ways in saving energy. We have one new store which is on the books now, where all of the energy used by that store will be produced locally. There will be no other power going into the store. Depots in the same way, and the management of our fleet is exactly the same. Personally, I'm IT, so I am very much interested in what we can do within IT. And in conjunction with NCR, Stuart Henderson is here today from NCR, we have taken lots and lots of steps going forward, particularly with this printer. The printer now is probably in 2/3 of our till points. And I will correct one figure that was on there. He mentioned 9,500. We actually have 19,500 till points across the estate. And we're in about 2/3 now, having started a rollout properly about 2 years ago. From me, that has major benefits in terms of the paper. One statistic, it does lend itself well to one of these sort of statements, doesn't it? The amount of paper we're saving will wrap itself around the world 3 times. That's a lot of paper when you look at it like that. But for me as a retailer, which I am first and foremost, it's also a benefit to the customer. It prints the till receipt half as quickly, that's not quite right, is it? Twice as quickly, in half the time as it takes to print on a single-sided. We don't have to fill up or change the till roll anywhere near so often. Not quite half as much, but nearly, which means less delay to customers. And the thing that was mentioned on there about manageability of the receipt, sometimes those receipts now on a month's shopping, if you go in and do a big one, it can be that long. Well, we're that long now. And from my point of view, I think that's great. We're helping customers as well. So thank you very much for this. Thank you.
It's an innovative and strategically important mine water pumping and treatment scheme, which prevents catastrophic pollution of both an extensive drinking water aquifer, a nationally recognised heritage coastline, and the region's most significant river. The mass closure of coal mines in the early 80s resulted in the cessation of pumping of mine water from extensive underground coal workings. As a result, heavily contaminated mine water flowing through the abandoned workings began to rise to the surface in the northeast coal field, which is an area of about 125 square kilometres. In selecting this entry to go forward, we were impressed by the technological innovations to reduce reagent use, reduce sludge generation, and reduce health and safety issues. shown in the first and most ambitious mine water facility of its kind in the United Kingdom. The selection panel were also impressed by the immense contribution to sustainable development in the sense of not prejudicing the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. If the mine water had been allowed to continue to rise throughout the coal field, there would have been potentially 3 very serious environmental and social consequences. The Permian Aquifer, providing 36 million litres a day of potable water to 400,000 people in the surrounding area, would have been seriously and irreversibly contaminated by the mine water. Polluted mine water would discharge from beach tunnels at the coastal collieries. This would have caused severe pollution to the nationally designated Durham Heritage coastline. Discharges of mine water would occur in low-lying areas along the River Wear, causing extensive pollution of this important watercourse. All of this protection has been achieved with a capital expenditure of £6.7 million and annual operating costs of £400,000. A considerable saving on the costs that would otherwise have been involved in treating the 36 million litres of potable water extracted from the aquifer. Although the selectors were mindful that the process award is for a production technology, we were so impressed by this post-production process, applied to the results of abandoned production, that we have no hesitation in putting it forward for recognition in Europe.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Stuart Rowley. I'm from the Coal Authority. I'm very pleased and delighted to be here today. I guess the story starts with the closure of the major coal mines in the Durham coalfield in the late 80s, early 90s. For many centuries, those areas had been dewatered because of the coal mining. Once they'd closed, as the speaker has just said, the contaminated mine water was rising towards the surface and would have had 3 very significant consequences. The drinking water aquifer, the East Durham aquifer, which is one of the largest in Europe, producing 36 million litres of drinking water for the surrounding area per day, would have been irreversibly contaminated. The Heritage Coast, which has been redeveloped since the old mining days, would have been inundated with iron-rich mine water, and the River Wear, which runs through Durham and its World Heritage Site, Cathedral, would have had orange mine water as well. So the problem was very apparent, the solution less so, unfortunately, because the area in which we had to develop the treatment facility has been regenerated as very high amenity value now, and so we had to do it in a very subtle and a very sensitive manner. We did this by making most of the operation underground or hidden in an industrial estate in a building comparable to everything next to it. So the water is pumped, the mine water is pumped from the colliery underground, under a railway line, under a road, to a treatment facility on an industrial estate, treated to environmentally correct standards, all the iron's taken away from it, and then it's returned again underground and only seeing light of day again as it enters the sea. So it's a very unobtrusive method. Because of the large area which we were looking at, over 125 square kilometres, there were many people involved in this, so we set up an industrial system of local stakeholders who were all involved in this, and we like to think that it was a local solution to a local problem. For a scheme that did its best to be invisible and not be noticed, we're very pleased that we've been awarded this, and we're very grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
Now, the infrared single vehicle system for repairing roads at lower costs, shorter times, and a reduced carbon footprint in situ is a pretty remarkable process. Unlike traditional processes, this new file system allows for a complete recovery of the existing road surface without cutting any of the existing surface in the first place. This eliminates the need for multiple vehicles, noisy jackhammering, and landfill waste. The new fault repair system creates a thermal bond which wields any newly added asphalt to the existing road surface, preventing water ingress problems that make traditional repairs unsafe and unstable. The judging panel found the environmental benefits to be quite outstanding. For instance, the system offers a significant environmental advantage by generating less than 1/7 of the CO2 per pothole repair of traditional processes. The system generates very little waste by reusing existing surface-wearing materials, so no landfill is required. And new road surface materials needed to complete the repair is quite minimal. There is a water-based anionic binder which seals the repair. There is no need for energy-powered tools like jackhammers, as the road surfaces are heated, not broken up. And Newfalt uses one single vehicle compared to the traditional 3 for repairs. The judging panel found the economic viability also quite interesting because it offers savings of up to 40% per repair compared to, for instance, in Scotland's road, by traditional means, it costs up to 1.8 million, I believe, per year. So it was quite easy for the panel to see the potential for replication and export. The process has already been launched in the USA, India, South Africa, and Hungary, and it will soon be followed by Dubai, Turkey, and Ireland. The EU community had been targeted for 2010. So because of the unique costs and social benefits of this system and its environmental credentials, the Newfalt infrared system, we think, is particularly beneficial for companies and for countries which have neglected or underinvested road systems. And the judging panel had no hesitation at all in recommending this entry for the EBAE awards.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to firstly thank Fiona White and Lindsay McGilvery from SEPA for their support and assistance in our final submission. For any company, it's important to drive product awareness to gain a competitive advantage through independent recognition and awards. Newfalt is far from a household name. However, if I have to mention the word potholes, I'm sure it would meet with frustration, in some cases anger for most road users. With over £50 million paid out in compensations by councils in the UK, there is a market for a cost-effective and permanent solution. Newfalt was designed and patented an innovative single-vehicle solution to pothole repair, which incorporates the very latest NIT technology, delivering a complete recovery of the road and leaving behind a seamless repair. There is no waste, no landfill, and everything is recycled in situ. The system has proven to deliver, in the case of East Lothian Council, a saving of 248 tonnes of CO2 in a single year. That's equivalent to 53,000 trees offset, nearly 1 million car miles, and 10.3 million carrier bags. So that's one system, one council, 1 year. With over 300 councils and an estimated 11 million potholes in England alone, we are well placed to support local government to help them meet the stretching sustainability targets set by the Climate Change Bill. Our contracting division supports both council and retail markets and has seen significant growth in the retail sector, and I'm glad to say Sainsbury's is a customer, where there's a focus and investment in sustainability and cost-effective solutions. Our leasing facility offers councils or contractors the opportunity to invest and operate their very own systems and utilise their own staff in the process. More recently, we have launched a franchise model offering 114 areas in the UK for private investment. At the launch and Excel franchise show, we received over 200 notes of interest in 2 days. The good or bad news, depending on your point of view, is it's not just the UK that suffers from road defects. Internationally, we have business partners and systems as far afield as India, Hungary, South Africa, and more recently America. The American market offers unlimited opportunity and could see our initial orders for 5 systems grow to several hundred in the first phase alone. We were proud to be recognised through the rigorous Vibes feeder scheme in late 2008, and even more so to be shortlisted as one of the UK's finalists in the European Business Awards. These acknowledgements provide independent recognition of our unique process and help differentiate our innovative and sustainable solution to road repair. With 147 entries from 24 European states, we are competing with the very best that Europe has to offer. Our environmental solution to our very real issue is being replicated throughout the world. It would be an amazing achievement for this to be acknowledged by the European Commission. Thank you.
Lithographic printing, the type that produces brochures, catalogues, the sort of thing that we read every day, is very energy intensive and uses a lot of raw materials. And Alpha Graphics work very hard to reduce both of those aspects of their production process. Alpha Graphics has been working continuously for over 10 years to improve its performance in terms of the way that it manufactures lithographic plates out of aluminium. By carefully examining the manufacturing procedures, Alpha have been able to incorporate a lot of changes into the way that they do things to reduce waste, reduce energy, reduce the carbon footprint of the process, and also reduce materials use. Significantly, energy consumption over the last 14 years has been reduced by over 75% as a consequence of what Alpha Graphics have been doing to improve their process efficiencies. One of the most impressive statistics that came out of AGFA's entry is their reduction of waste to landfill. 14 years ago, when they started doing measurements, it was standing at 14,000 tonnes. Last year, it was just 81 tonnes, and they're aiming to reduce that to nothing by the end of 2010. In terms of the judges' perception of AGFA's entry, we were all very impressed with the way that they've made continuous improvements in their environmental performance over a long period of time. But one of probably the most significant factors in this is the amount of money that they're saving that's actually contributing to the bottom line profit of the business. And as a consequence of the things that AGFA have been doing over the past several years, they're now reporting £6 million a year saving in their process. So that's a really good example of the way that a company can be sustainable and profitable.
Hello, my name's Graham Cooper. I'm the site manager of AGFA Graphics in Leeds. I'd like to thank the RSA for this honour and obviously the BCE Awards who brought us into this process in the first place. It's a great honour for our factory to be in this position, but in particular it's the 92 people we have back in the factory at Leeds who really deserve this recognition. Now, this process that we're in now recognises the environmental dimension of what we do at Leeds, and we're very proud of that, but that's just one facet of us striving to be the best. Our site motto is to be the best. I'd like to make a quote: "Strive for perfection in everything we do, take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it. Accept nothing that is nearly right or almost good enough." Henry Royce spoke those words of Rolls-Royce fame, and that absolutely sums up our approach to manufacturing. We focus on waste of all kinds aggressively, and we work to eliminate or to reduce it. Now, we don't talk about the fashionable waste at the moment, the 7 wastes of lean manufacturing. We have a very simple definition of waste. We have a self-contained factory with 1 gate. If, as lorries go out with our product on it, if what we've bought and paid for isn't on that lorry going to our customers, it's waste. It's as simple as that, and that's what we work to reduce. Now, I'm a passionate believer in UK manufacturing. I believe it's vital for our country's future. And we know we cannot, indeed we do not want to compete on labour costs. So where can we compete? Where we can compete is on being smart and being efficient. Environmental performance is a very good place to measure how smart and efficient your organisation is. And I would urge all UK manufacturers to look at the example being set by many of the things we've sat and listened to today as being an example of the best, and to look at those for inspiration, to make themselves more competitive. I'll finish off again with Henry Royce. Take the best that exists and make it better, and that's what I'd urge UK manufacturing to do. Thank you.
TM UK engineers developed a system for reducing energy in the vehicle painting process using a wider range of temperature and humidity based on a new predictive or forward control system, which has resulted in a 40% reduction on steam used in the plant, in the painting shop, and an attendant 40% reduction in CO2 emissions, which supports Toyota's global drive to reduce CO2 emissions worldwide. What stood out for us was the impressive, we think, innovative predictive technology, which we think is quite unique within the automotive sector and also has some environmental benefits, obviously. Now, you realize that in car manufacturing, about 54% of energy used occurs during the painting process. And this involves temperature and humidity control within Toyota's 4 painting booths. Previously, this was done from supply equipment which drew outside air through a sequence of gas burners, chilled water radiators, water humidification, and steam injection to achieve a fixed point. And this would guarantee paint quality. However, the challenge for Toyota was how to maintain a superior quality paint finish within a wider range of tolerance in the paint booths. The panel was also convinced of the economic viability of the system. Toyota invested between 2006 and 7 financial year and then the 2008 and 9 financial year an amount of £1 million, while the total energy cost savings achieved associated with this within the 2005 and 6 to 2006, 2007 and 8 period was over $500,000. So obviously there were benefits there. Now, following full installation and commissioning of the predictive control technology in the remaining booths in Toyota's paint shop, the current forecast for the project is to achieve a total payback of 1.5 years, or even earlier, depending upon rising fuel costs or rising energy costs. Toyota Motor Europe is promoting this technology across Europe, and eventually we can see this project being replicated in all the existing booths of Toyota plants. So we see that there's a multiplier effect in the environmental benefits across Europe. And in the current economic situation where cost reduction is key to maintaining permanent employment, the resulting energy cost saving will have a direct impact on Toyota's ability to maintain a stable and permanent employment for its workers and carry excess headcount even during the economic downturn. So the judging panel did not have any hesitation at all in putting forward this entry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Dave Chapman. I have responsibility for all environmental improvement activity at our manufacturing plants in the UK. The gentleman stole 90% of my words, so I'll be brief, but I would like just to share a few thoughts. Firstly, previous participants have mentioned we are delighted to have been chosen as a UK finalist for the European Business Awards for the Environment. We regard it as a very clear recognition of our genuine attempts to minimise our impact on the environment. We're particularly honoured to have received recognition for what we feel is our daily activity. Environmental improvement is a key foundation of our business, and it has been from day one when we started production in 1992. Gentlemen on the screen indicated many figures and percentages of what we use. To give you a feel, our manufacturing facility at Burniston uses something like 14,000 domestic households worth of energy per year. So a big bottom line, but more importantly, a big environmental impact. As was stated, our paint shop, the body shop where we apply the coatings to the car body, consumes more than 54% of total site energy. And 52% of that, or slightly more, is used purely to heat air up, humidify it, put it into the paint booth, and then we throw it away again. Clearly not a good move. We kicked off an activity. It was a member-driven, it was an engineer's idea. It wasn't a top-down, it was an engineer's idea that maybe we could drive the controller to suit the external ambient condition. Clearly the condition in the winter time compared to summer is very different. And he tried this over about 6 or 9 months himself. And the next step was to try and automate that process. And through the enthusiasm, hard work, and above all, teamwork of our guys and of the contractors that were supporting us, we did develop and have implemented a new, completely unique predictive control system for the main booths in our paint shop. We have achieved greater than 40% reduction in the energy we use to generate steam for those processes, and that equates to something like 5,000 tonnes of CO2 per annum. Clearly a huge benefit, bottom line, and for the environment more importantly. Sharing best practice throughout the Toyota family and beyond is part of our business culture, and as has been said, we've shared that around the world already. The installation has been repeated and copied in France, in Turkey, and currently being installed a joint venture plant in Czech Republic. That concludes what I want to say. Key point is teamwork and bottom up, not top down. So on behalf of the team, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Well done.
Well, it's entirely in keeping with the awards given to people who've shown efficiency combined with kind of business-like approach that we're finishing a few minutes early, which is an incredibly rare thing for an RSA event. So I'm just here to close the session, to congratulate the UK finalists once again. As we've seen, all the entries are extremely strong, and Dan, like you, I'm sure that we'll see another UK winner in this year's European Business Awards for the environment. I'd also like to thank Graham and Malcolm and Saki for their fantastic performances. It's a pity, it's a good job really that we didn't see those until after the BAFTAs, or I think that possibly Colin Firth would have had a run for his money, I'd have thought. A reminder that the RSA Environment Awards Forum is open to those with particular expertise in the sector, and particularly to RSA Fellows, or people who'd like to become RSA Fellows. The forum will be linking with RSA Fellows networks over the coming year to showcase the UK's incredible innovation, and it'll be seeking to expand its membership and increasing the number of award schemes accredited by the RSA. So if you'd like to find out more about our work, then visit the RSA website or speak to one of the many members of staff who will be joining you for drinks in the vaults. So now I hope you'll join us for our reception in the vaults. I think the best way is to go out of those doors and keep going down and down and down, and when you can't go down any further, you're in the right place. The finalists and current accredited schemes have laid out more information in the vaults for you to digest, and they'll be on hand to answer any questions that you might have about their really impressive work. So finally, can I ask you to join me once again in thanking this afternoon's guest speaker, Dan Norris, and in congratulating the UK finalists.